We changed some things up defensively, and I thought it worked in the second and third quarters. If it hadn't been for fouls, we would have held them to 2 single-digit quarters. But the foul count got away from us, and they did a tremendous job of knocking down 19 out of 22, which gave them some separation in those quarters. We stuck to a game plan. We let number 11 get loose off of some in the zone. But besides, offensively, we just couldn't find a rhythm. TT was able to get to the rim. Giff, when she got into space, shot the ball well, but they kept forcing her higher and higher, and we're trying to teach her to release to get lower off that because they want her shooting the fadeaway jumper because they know they can't guard her, on the block without double and triple teaming her. I was proud of our kids' effort. We got a little winded, made some subs. KJ came in, held the fort for us a little bit, but it comes back to just that scouting report defense. We gave up a couple straight line drives to lefties when we were screaming to hop on that left hand. Whenever we took their strengths away, they either traveled or turned it over. We held a lot of their players in check. I talked about looking at probably 9 out of the 10 kids that they played aren't returning just because they're a veteran ball club. But when I talked to our kids, I told them if we attacked, if we created space, we would get looks. They hit 19 baskets, we hit 18 baskets. So neither of us just lit it up offensively. The difference in the game was they knocked down their free throws, and they got to the free throw line.
All in all, though, better defensive showing than the previous 2 games. And was there something particular that you changed that kind of helped that along a little bit?
Yeah, we made some adjustments on defense just because we, like all games, we look at percentages of what people are shooting. We know where they want to score from, which is paint points, and we were even with them on that. But we just wanted to make players, if they were going to shoot the mid-range, make it a contested mid-range, and that's the lowest percentage shot in the NCAA, and their numbers reflected that out of those kids that were looking for the mid-range because we did a good job of contesting it. In the first half, I thought we did a good job on the boards. It got away from us. At the end in the third quarter, they got some offensive boards, but in terms of second chance points, we actually beat them on that. But so once they got the offensive board, we actually held serve on most of those. But again, just looking at our percentages, we just got to get that ball going in the hole. We got some open looks because of their style of defense. Some of them were just a little rushed because people were flying at us and, hey, show shot, put it on the floor, find your rhythm. But we're getting there. It'll get there.
One stretch there in the third quarter at the start where they forced, I think it was 6 or 7 turnovers in the first 5+ minutes. Was it something different they sprung on you defensively, or was it just not handling the ball?
It was us not executing what we just drew up at halftime, and it started with our post players are supposed to come up. We know they're going to be hard on their guards. So if our post players shoot up to get the ball, then they're underneath us, and when you saw it a couple times, we're full head of steam down the floor. But when our 5 or 4 players forget, it makes it tough. Or when we try to round it off and not sprint back and sprint up, they're athletic enough to be right there with you to knock it out of bounds. Now it's a dead ball, situation. So we just got to get more. That's what I told them. Okay, you gave me a little bit better effort, but the details are still that's what wins and loses games, guys. There was one possession where it was 3 of them on the floor. It was 3 of them on the floor. I had one, and I had an ostrich, bending over. And I was like, at home, anywhere, we got to get those 50-50 balls in that area. And like I said, we had some kids that did that. Again, TT stats are going to always be everywhere across the board. And I told my kids, you got auditions every day in practice. I stay on the floor afterwards sometimes just because I want to see if anybody's going to stay and shoot. But for our percentages to come up, the only thing we got to do is get in the gym. And I told my bench, they had 31 bench points. Well, you know what? You got an audition every single day. And One of our young ones always jumps in and practices with the practice team. Well, that's when I can see her get reps. Some of my other ones just want to stand on the side and hope I don't notice them to not go in so they can rest. You're not getting any better. You're not getting any better. But we got to find folks where the ball comes in. I have to get back to getting more ball reversal and getting my post, which Mia does a pretty doggone good job. But Mia and Gift just have to understand when to duck in, when to spin pin, and we're doing it a little early. So by the time we make that pass under pressure, it's time for them to have to get out of the lane. So again, that stuff comes with just practicing it, and we'll get better. I'll get better at teaching that. But again, I told our kids, we talked about the 4 dubs, 4 W's. Everybody wants to win.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to win. But the will to win requires consistent discipline of the things that most people aren't doing. And that's the separator, right there. The next part is work, and you got to sacrifice to get the things that you want. The last one you can't control, which is win. But if you consistently do those other 3, you put yourself in a good position to try to get a W. And that's what we're growing through. I'm going to keep teaching them. I'm going to keep finding ways to get their attention, but I was proud of their effort. I told them, I said, guys, we're not going to let this get away from us. And it started to creep away, a little bit. But like you said, that they kept coming back every time when they could have folded. And that just shows me a sign of their fight.
And one more thing, you're on a pretty brutal road trip these next 4 games, 4 of the better teams in the league. What do you want to see from your teams in terms of growth and development and whatever as you head into that stretch?
Yeah, just fight. I'm going to shake some things up. I'll shake some things up and see if we can do some things a little bit differently. But what I've wanted from them the whole time is I want them to be disciplined, and I want us to fight. And I want us to be in attack mode, not in reactive mode. I want to attack.